right? So Yanesh saying somewhat he's getting comfortable with the JUnit Selenium framework. Yeah, so this is the thing, guys. Okay, this is why you guys are doing all you are doing right now, right? This is the key. If you understand how a framework works, Selenium is nothing basically. You give the wrong name to the whole course and everything. We say Selenium automation, right? Uh, but actually the framework which takes a lot of time to get expert on. Uh, it could be JUnit framework, it could be any kind of framework, it could be Cucumber framework for that matter. Selenium is very small chunk of it. Okay, so that's the reason I'm just forcing you guys to work on the framework part rather than on Selenium. Selenium is easy, guys, right? We have Sarang took lot of sessions, I guess, and I also would be taking few of them. For example, page object model. I will talk about page object model when it comes to the Selenium side of things, but it's easy. There's a framework which takes a lot of time. It consumes a lot of time. It takes a lot of devotion and and practice. So what I am right now trying to present to you is a framework structure, and this framework structure is going to be the same no matter what kind of framework you're going to see in the future or what kind of framework you're going to develop in the future. Irrespective of that, the whole and sole principles of how automation framework should look like is what I'm trying to teach you, right? So pay more attention. This doesn't come natural, guys. Okay, it's not natural to understand what it is, and I accept that. In the beginning you might not, for example, when I first explained this, I was maybe 10% of you understood, or maybe 10% of you understood only 10%, right? This is a possibility. Now the more you work on it, right, the better your understanding would become. It's true for even now when I go to a new project and I see a framework, I just couldn't get hold of it. I couldn't understand what's happening. But the more and more the more time I spend on that new framework, the better I get in understanding, and better or the more clarity I usually get with that framework, right? So it is about how much time you're spending with it. It's not about you getting it quickly. It's not about that. It's about how much time you're spending with it. The success story with any kind of framework is simple. The more time you're going to spend with it, the better your understanding would become, and more you can do with that framework. It's as simple as that. It's time is what is required, guys. It's no IQ, no smartness. Not that you have to be very intelligent to understand a framework. It's all about time, right? So that's the reason that's why I'm reiterating again that you have to spend more time with the frameworks. That is what you need to understand. Selenium you can do in one day, in a 1 or 2 day. If you understand framework well enough, you can learn Selenium in 2-3 days, right? So focus on this. Okay. Anyway, let me talk about today's agenda. So I haven't really created more branches here. I'm going to create more. Right now I created 7 branches, and don't get confused with these branches. I have explained this multiple times. Don't worry about these branches. This is for me. This is just my way of telling you how to progress step by step in a framework. You don't have to create these branches, right? Ideally it is supposed to be done in this way, in an enterprise level or in real project level, wherein every time you do a new feature, you create it in a branch and then you merge it. This is how the process goes. But for you don't have to worry anything about it. You will just keep on enhancing your framework in the same branch, right? So don't be confused with these branches. Right. So last time I asked you to go do till this step 5. Till step 6, I said if you can do it, do. Otherwise, I'll anyway going to explain that. But till 5th, I was expecting you guys to do, and few of you also did that. And I really wanted you guys to do in your own language. You can copy. You're not supposed to be copying the code. You were supposed to be referring the code and write your own lines. And if you want to do some experiments, you should have done it. But I saw few of the repositories. It's good work. But little bit less experiments I saw. I saw almost the same thing which I did. So try to play around with it. This is a reference. What I do is a reference for you. So you should do what I do in terms of what I'm writing here, and then try to experiment. At least change the variable names, right? At least change it so that you get to know, okay, if I do this, or maybe if I instead of sending browser from Maven, I send something else, right? Something of that sort. But still, I'm not discouraging you guys. If you are really very confused, that's fine. Even copy paste, I'm okay. Okay. All right. Now, so the next thing which I want to talk about is basically I wanted to cover two things today, and I would go very quickly. One is about page object model, step 6, and then step 7. It's about log4j. I'll talk about the need of these in detail, so don't worry about it. So let me go to step 6, which is force checkout. All right. So really, before I go forward, do you guys have any question till step 5? Tell me that first. Do you guys understand? Do you guys try to run it from Maven? Did you Maven run command, sorry, Maven clean test, and then you pass the browser name? Did you guys do that? And it's not that, I mean, if you have any questions, now's the time to ask. I'll try to explain.
Yes, sir, I did that. But sir, it shows me exception.
It
So I'm
throws you
doing it.
exception, is it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Right. So see, exception. So there are different things, guys. Exception, errors, test failures, right? There are 3 different things. And I said this, I think Sujit said this is failing, right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so that was an error where test was failing. It is not an exception per se. It is something where our tests are failing. So you need to see why your test cases are failing. There has to be reason behind it. Eclipse is very smart. I mean, Java is very smart rather. It always tells you what is the error. You need to figure it out. So send me the exact error details. So you send screenshot, but what is the exact reason of that failure? That was not very evident in that screenshot. So send a screenshot where the error is properly displayed, and you yourself can understand what's happening. So if it is failing in Maven, tests are failing in when running via Maven, it will also be sure to fail when you run it from Eclipse.
Yes, sir. That's right.
Okay, I got an okay. I'm not clear with the concept of plugin. Why do we use in POM? Okay, good question, Apurva. I'll try to explain that. It's a bit off topic for today, but I'll in the end I will try to cover it, and if I forget, just raise it again. Okay. All right. So and keep posting on chat, guys. If you have anything, just post on the chat. Maybe after end of the session, I will look at the chat window and just quickly explain the doubts and issues you guys are facing. Okay, so now today I would like to talk about page object model. Okay, and the reason behind using this page object model is that we don't want our test cases to have locator information, right? So let's say previously when I was here before step 6, let's say I'm here, right? So if you notice, I was doing something of this sort here, right? I was writing driver.findElement by.xpath, and similarly I was writing here as well by.id. You see the locator information, right? The elements information I am actually putting it inside my test cases, and this clutters my test case and makes it less maintainable. Okay, it makes it less maintainable in the sense, let's say I have 5 test cases, and all the 5 test cases, let's say I have, imagine this situation that I have these many test cases. Okay, and all of these test cases I have the same XPaths written, right? What it is, what exactly it is against? It is against a reusability, isn't it? We need to centralize in some information which is being circulated at multiple places, or being has to be used in multiple places. So locators, if you see these locators, these are being used. For example, if I want to search for something, some element, right? If I want to search for or search for any product in the Amazon.in or any e-commerce website for that matter, I will have to search it, right? For searching, I need to put that text inside the search text box. Where is the search text box? That search text, oops, sorry. 1 minute, my bad. That search text box is, oh, what's happening? Okay, my mistake. So it is supposed to be on Chrome, basically. Yeah, so if I want to do something, right, I would be searching it here, right? So this is a text box, and its property is very simple property, which is it has ID to tab search text box. So in every test case, let's say I have to search for something, then I need to have this ID in my test, right? So that is this test case is all about. That is the test case I'm trying to talk about, which is this. I have these many tests, right? So I have test 1, I have test 2, and all of these tests, imagine I need to search basically. So every time I want to search, I need to have this ID or locator present inside that test. Otherwise, I cannot send keys to it. Then I also have to have this XPath or this element, which is go, which is nothing but the magnifying window of that particular search text box, which is, I'll show you this one, right? So this and this I need in all my test cases, which is related to searching or testing the searching functionality of my application. Give me a minute. Let me place it properly. Right. Okay. So this is not a right pattern, right? I'm repeating the same information at multiple places, right? The same principle which I was talking about in the last class is about pull up or centralize something which is being used at multiple places, so that if, let's say, in future developer wishes to change an HTML, because the developer can do anything without telling you, right? Later developer will say, okay, I want to change the value of from go to maybe click go, right? And let's say if HTML of this, the property of this changes, right? So your script will stop working. Then you have to modify your scripts. And if you want to, when you modify your scripts, then you have to change what has changed in the HTML, and then you have to kind of put it back inside your test cases, right? So you have to change here as well. Okay. So let's say if this property is to be changed, you have to change it at multiple places. You have to change it here, then you have to change it in the next test case, you have to change it in the next test case. In every test case, you have to make the change, right? So what is the best way to do it? The same way, the same thing which we did for base URL, right? So we centralized the base URL, we placed it where? We placed it inside test space, right? So if let's say the URL is to be changed, I change it at one place and it will take effects everywhere, because everywhere I'm using the same variable, right? Something of this sort I have to do with these properties also, right? I don't know if I confused you or I clarified what I'm trying to say, but to simplify, again, I will try to summarize what I just said. I don't want to keep the locators in my test case. This is the problem statement for me, right? I don't want these kind of things like by.xpath and putting xpaths directly inside a method which is annotated as @test. No locator should be present in the @test. If you see it somewhere, it's a bad framework design, right? The test case still works, but doesn't mean that this is a good design. This creates havoc later on. This is a great maintenance problems later on. Right now it looks fine, right? We design framework to, we foresee the future problems. हम आगे की problems को देखते हैं basically. Whatever is going to happen in the future, we anticipate it and then we take corrective measures. अगर हम इसको ऐसे ही छोड़ देंगे, for example, इस तरह से ही हर test case में ऐसे ही locator सब जगह लिखेंगे, later on it will be a big problem. And I actually have worked in such projects where people just do that. They don't follow right discipline to write test cases and they keep on scattered these locators across tests. And जब 5000 टेस्ट केस हो जाएंगे और आपको अगर 2000 जगह चेंज करना होगा छोटी सी चीज, it's big pain, right? Maintenance cost बढ़ता है framework का, and eventually बहुत गाली खाने को मिलता है, simple as that, right? In plain Hindi. So that's the reason we should not be doing it. You should never do it. As simple as that. There's no extra words I have to denounce if someone uses this. Okay. So what is the answer to this? So there are multiple ways or multiple answers to it. There's not single answer, multiple answers there. But the concept remain the same across all of those solutions. Centralize it, put it at a single location and refer it from that location. Where that location can be, it can be anywhere. It can be in the test base. You can define everything in the test base, right? but again, it could lead to some other problems, right? So I am right now, today's agenda is I want to propose to you a very valid solution, a time tested solution, जो बहुत projects में I shouldn't say 90%, I don't know what percent, but maximum projects uses that pattern or that mechanism to keep your locators at a centralized location, right? Now that centralized location can be your Excel file. आप सारे locators Excel file में डाल दो, वहां से refer कर लो. That can be a configuration file, that can be a properties file, but there is a specific design mechanism. It's called as page object model. Okay, it's called as page object model. Okay, this simply says कि आप सारे आपकी जो application है, you divide that application into pages. और बहुत easy है करना, because आपका कोई भी web page होगा वो pages में ही divide होगा, right? Because there one page, second page, search page, home page, checkout page, add to cart page, etc, right? So for example, आपका Amazon के बहुत सारे pages possible है, isn't it? You have home page, you have search page, you have add to cart page, you have checkout page, you have payment page, right? Then it says, ये मैं आपको principle बता रहा हूँ page object model के, okay? This is how page object model, guys, और जिसने भी pattern design किया होगा, there's not a single person, otherwise I would have named that person, I don't know really. So जिसने भी ये design pattern इजाद किया है, they said whatever your application is, you divide those applications in a logical structuring. What is the logical structuring? You can say in pages. So आप जब पेज को होम पेज पे जब आप जाते हो, right, when you come here, this is not a home page really. So home page is when you just simply say this is a home page. Now the idea is जो भी इस पेज के objects है, whatever objects which are coming on this page or locator which are coming on this page should go inside home page file, right? All the objects should go to the home page file, right? Now similarly, अगर आप सर्च कर रहे हो, आपने कहा okay, I'll say laptop. When you say laptop, then whatever locators are coming here, locators simply, I hope everyone knows what locators are. Locators are जो भी यहाँ दिख रहा है ना, everything is a locator, right? ये checkbox is a locator, ये bag is a locator, everything is a locator, right? So इस page के, this page is a search page. इस page के सारे objects has to be present inside search page. All the objects should go in the search page file. Similarly, if someone says, okay, I want to buy this one, and I want to do add to cart. Now, whatever is coming here now, right? Whatever is coming here should go. This is an add to cart. You see shopping cart. This is an add to cart page. Now, अब जो भी objects यहाँ पे आ रहे हैं, they all is supposed to be inside. All the objects should go in add to cart page file, right? Similarly, so on and so forth, right? For checkout page, for payment page, this is how it should be structured. Now the point to discuss is what is this file, right? Now this file can be a text file, it can be an Excel file, it can be a properties file, it can be your configuration file, right? And it can also be a Java file, right? So it doesn't really matter where you're keeping it. So the first point here is why we are doing it is because we wanted to have a centralized location, right? That centralized location can be given to us by many things. It can be a text file, right? If you keep everything in a text file, that can also be acting as a centralized location. And trust me, a lot of projects uses text files or configuration files or even Excel files to keep their objects, right? But I've seen all, the best is to keep it in the Java, right? Because it speeds up your execution. It gives you more flexibility to control your Java file than compared to your properties file, because your text file, Excel file, ये Java file नहीं है. These are not a Java files, right? So that is, they are not part of the code. They are external resource files, right? And it comes with external resource files. You need to read it, you need to parse it, you need to convert it. There are lot of hidden things or a lot of extra things which you need to do if you keep your objects in the text Excel properties or configuration files. So it's the best to keep it in the Java file, right? So what we are going to learn is to keep these objects in the page object model format, and we will use the Java files to keep it. That's the idea which we're going to implement. That is what really I have implemented. Okay, so let me cut it from here. Guys, give me a minute. Let me just clean it up, else there will be a problem. I put in the README file. It will be better. Page object model. Okay, I'll just maybe check this. Page object model, text only, real impl, next branch, that is 6th. All right, so now what I'll do is I will show you the implementation here, and I'll also try to do something for you. So now I am on the branch 6th. So this is where I actually implemented my first page object model, which is this, right? Don't worry about this right now. Let me just show you how I have done it. So you remember last time in the last, I mean, just now I talked about this, right? We divide into pages. So what we do is we say, okay, we should be dividing these objects. Right now, we are only dealing with what? We are dealing with only one or rather two objects. One is this, second is this, right? We are clicking on this and then we are, and entering text here and then we're clicking on this. That's all we are doing really, isn't it? So what we do is we created a page objects package and I added a special page object Java file and I named it common page objects. Why? The reason behind this is no matter on what page I am on shopping cart, I am on search page, I am on home page, the top bar always remains, right? ऊपर के जो एलिमेंट्स है ये हर पेज के ऊपर आ रहे हैं, हर पेज पे हैं ये, राइट? सो ऐसे ऑब्जेक्ट्स और लोकेटर्स, अब मुझे ये एक लोकेटर है, राइट? ये सब एक लोकेटर्स हैं. ऐसे ऑब्जेक्ट्स जो कि which are appearing on all the pages, such kind of objects you have to create a page object file which is, you can name it as common, right? So all the objects which are coming on all the pages, they should go inside common, right? Otherwise there will be more duplicacy, because you say, okay, these objects are coming on home page class file, so you'll say, okay, I'll add there, then they are again come on search page, you'll, okay, I'll add it there as well. So you can't do that, right? So idea is all the common, because this page object model is nothing but a logical structuring. ये लॉजिकल स्ट्रक्चरिंग है, ये असली में ऐसा नहीं है कि इस पेज के मैं रिजिडली बोलूंगा नहीं इस पेज के इसी पेज में जाना चाहिए. इट्स नॉट दैट. लॉजिकल स्ट्रक्चरिंग, इट्स अप टू यू. आप कैसे आप फॉर एग्जांपल you can create a complete new page object class file for maybe pop-ups, right? Maybe you can create a, अब ये जो आपको बार दिख रहा है, right? You can keep all of these elements and its corresponding elements in a separate class file, in a separate page object model file, right? Because you are structuring, it's a logical structuring. That's the reason I'm coining this word again and again, logical structuring. ऐसे rigidly नहीं करना है कि नहीं अब ये हर पेज पे आ रहा है तो अब हर पेज के में तो नहीं डालोगे, right? Okay, so you need to understand this. But the elements which are uniquely coming to a specific page, वो उसी पेज में जाना चाहिए. Okay, so how it works is, let me show you. So don't worry about this common page object. Let me just show you how you're going to create a class. It's very simple. For example, I want to add objects of, let's say I want to create a new test case and I want to add a test case sorry, let's say this sign in securely. Now that sign in securely, if you see this element, this specific element is only coming in the home page. If I go to other pages, this element will not come there. So this element deserves to be present inside homepage class file, right? How to do that? I will go here, create a new, let's say I'll create a new homepage objects, right? Then I do 2-3 things which are important things, right? So if you notice, I talked about where it go? I talked about this, right? So we divide into pages, and each page we have an option to place that particular properties locator. So we have text, Excel, properties, configuration, but we are using Java, and we want to use special pattern called as page object model, right? So there's a specific design of page object model. There's a specific way by which you can write page object model. That's what I'm trying to tell you right now. आप बहुत तरीके होते हैं पेज ऑब्जेक्ट मॉडल फाइल लिखने के. I am just telling you one of the way. So you can say we have three. It has three segments or sections. Sections 1. These 3 areas. One is 2, and then section 3. Right? There are 3. On top of it, you need to write web driver. You need to declare a web driver at the top. That's the first step. You have to do it. Okay. Second is you will define, or rather I should write here, declare a driver object. Okay. Then second step is you define the locators. Then third is you parameterize the constructor. Okay. And actually there is one more, section 4, which is write business methods, or rather you should simply call it methods to be exposed, right? They act as an agent. Now I'll talk about all of this. Now let's say I want to create a page object model file for this home page, and I want to add this object here. So how I'm going to do that? If you were not to use page object model, how you will do it? Let's do that first, right? So I'll say, okay, I want to add a new test case. I will add a test case maybe here. I will say, okay, I need to create a new test case. I'll say public void test case 02. Okay, and I'll say check sign in button on home page, and then what I'll do, the same steps, right? So I need to get the URL, and then I need to click on this button, isn't it? I need to click on this button. So what I'll do, I will inspect. I will say, okay, what do we have here? So we have this button. This button has a property as sign in button. So let's say or maybe I'll use the link here. Okay, link text. So I will say sign in security link text, right? I will say this is a link. A is a link. This is the text. So I will use it link text. So what I'll do, I will do driver dot find element by dot link text. This is the link text. I found this. I'll say, okay, I found this inside web element. Then I'll say element dot click. It will click on it, isn't it? And then once it clicks on it, then I need to do some validation, right? So I need to see whether it's reaching the signing. So I will maybe check this. I will say, okay, type email, right? So I will say ID, maybe I will use the ID. I will say assert equals, or rather more simpler form. So I say driver dot find element by dot ID email. If this is displayed, then assert dot equals, or simply maybe assert true, else assert dot fail. Email text box does not appear for login after clicking on sign in. Come on, guys, are you following me, or I'm going at a super fast pace? Tell me if you want me to slow down. Sign in button. Okay, so my test case is completed. This is how you will do it if you were not to use page object model. This is how you will write it if you're not using page object model. So I'll also tag it, if not using page object model. Not using page object model, right? This is how you will write it. But if you want to use it using page object model, because you see I have two locators and both of them I have put it here, which is bad thing to do. It's a bad thing, right? Your idea is simple. Your test, because this is a test, right? Your test should not have any locators. Now I will write it using page object model so that you can compare how I'm doing it. So how what I have to do is I have created this page object model here. Then I will create the WebDriver driver here, right? Then I will define the locators. How to define the locators, right? We'll use the by object, right? So let me give you a perspective of what do I mean by this. So whenever you write a test case, whenever you write your find elements, you see something here, right? This is a by class, right? The idea is driver is an object. Inside that we have a method, which is find elements. Now find elements has an argument, right? The type of that argument is by. Its type of the argument is a by class, which we pass inside it, right? Maybe if I can, you see here driver dot find element. What do you see? You see this get. What is our argument of get, which is string? That means ये string accept करता है. What is the argument for find element? ये by accept करता है. एक by type का एक Selenium में एक class है, abstract class है. It accepts that, right? So I am going to leverage this by in my page object model. Okay. So what I'll do, I'll say okay, जो मैंने यहाँ define किया हुआ है. For example, मैंने लिखा है by dot link text, right? So, oops, sorry. So what I'll do, I will use by element link click, sorry, sign in. What was the element? I forgot the element name. Sign in securely, right? So it is link sign in securely is equal to by dot link text, or rather I'll just simply copy it, right? So I will just copy this. This expression returns a by object. This expression by dot link text returns a by object, right? This is how I will define my locators. This is my locators area, right? So I will define my locators like this. What is the next locator I need in this? And next locator I need here is this one. So I will just go here and I will also name it. So I will say by input input text, rather input only text box if you want. So you can elaborate your names, you can write your proper names, nothing to worry, but it should be very elaborate. That's the key. Input text box email. So this step is done. Third step is parameterize constructor. So we need to create a constructor, home page. I'll simply say public home page, and it should be parameterized constructor. This is how we create a constructor, but we need to parameterize it. So we'll say web driver, and they will say this dot driver is equal to driver. That simply means when the object of homepage objects class will be created, we need to pass a driver, and that driver will be saved. The reference of that driver will be saved inside my driver, which is I created here. This is why we are doing this, and you will understand why we are doing all this. This is the design pattern. You need to learn it, memorize it, and you need to know how to create. This is the one of the way by which you can create a page object, or you can implement page object model. Basically, this is one of the way, and remember this. That's the reason I'm telling you step by steps. Segment 1, segment 2, segment 3, step 4, right? Step 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the third step. Fourth step is the methods. Because you eventually would like to do something with these locators, right? Here you are directly you are performing the operation. These are the operations you're performing. Here, this is the operation you're performing, right? So we need to create business methods to perform these operations, right? So this is the segment 4. Here what I'll do, I'll create the methods, reusable methods. That's the reason I mark them as public. And all of these has to be private entities. These are private. It should not be accessible outside. Everything has to be private, right? Only these methods out of this class will be public. So I'll say public void enter, or rather I should say click sign in securely link. And here I would simply say, I'll say driver dot find element, and you notice what I have to pass in find element. I need to send a by type of object. Where do I have by type of object, which I've defined the top like this, right? So I'll simply pass this variable here, and that's it. And this will actually eventually click it. So now clicking is done. Then next is I will say okay. Then input text box email. So I'm not performing any operation here. I'm just validating. I'll simply say check or validate in input or email input text box is displayed. I'm using camel casing now, guys. Okay, click in, click link, sign in securely. Right here, what I have to do, the code which I wrote here, right? This has to be inside this particular method, like this. And of course, we should not be doing this. We should be writing something like this here, right? Now, next step is to write my test case, right? So I need to write, as I said, I will not modify this one so that you can put this into contrast. So I'll create a new test case. I will say check sign-ins button on home page using page object model. So now I'm using page object model. So I'll say driver.get base URL, okay, because we need this. Then I will create the object of home page objects, right? So I'll simply say home page objects equal to new home page objects. Now, you guys, if you guys have been attentive so far, let me check if you guys are not sleeping. Tell me why do we have an error here? What I need to do?
Parameterize constructor.
Parameterize constructor, right? Awesome. So since, as I said, this is a parameterized constructor, if you want to create object of this class, you need to pass a driver, else it won't work, because it doesn't have any non-parameterized or default constructor. We don't have it. That's the reason I'm getting an error. So idea is, whenever you have a driver created, wherever, doesn't matter, you need to pass that driver inside the class. So now I have passed this driver in this object. Now all I have to do is, guys, all I have to do is just click link securely, homepage dot validate email input. That's it. You see the difference. You see, you compare this with this, right? First of all, it gives you very clean code. Second, it gives you very readable code, because if you read this, and if you, let's say you go to your, let's say you're working on it, your father comes along and he asks you, what are you doing? So you will say, you will try to explain him, this is what I'm doing, right? And if you try to explain him this, it will take some time for him to understand, right? He's the person who doesn't know much about code. But if you just simply say, okay dad, just read this. So what he will do, okay, this is a base URL. He'll say, okay, click link sign in. That means you're clicking something, and he will read validate email. So he will know that you're validating something. He doesn't need to know how you have implemented. This is what you can, in some sense, understand it as abstraction. You need to abstract the logic. Your test is the topmost layer, right? So if you try to understand in a layered format, your test is the topmost layer. Your topmost layer should be very clean. Something like, you have a TV, isn't it? You have a TV, you watch TV. TV is not a simple equipment. It lot of code, lot of chips, lot of circuits are present, but you don't get to see those. आपको TV के अंदर क्या चल रहा है वो नहीं पता है आपको, right? टॉप मोस्ट लेयर बहुत क्लीन है आपके लिए. इट्स वेरी सिंपल. आप मोबाइल लेते हो, उसको क्लिक करते हो, आपको सारे इंटरफेसेस वहां दिखते हैं, और आप उसको सेलेक्ट करके अपना मनपसंद चैनल या वॉल्यूम अप डाउन कर लेते हो, राइट? योर टॉप मोस्ट लेयर शुड बी वेरी क्लीन, राइट? दिस इज द टॉप मोस्ट लेयर, और रादर अमंग द टॉप मोस्ट लेयर. कोई आपके टेस्ट को रीड करे तो उसको देख के, एकदम से देख के पता चलना चाहिए what exactly is happening. These are called as business keywords, right? These are keywords. Keyword पढ़ के समझ में आना चाहिए exactly what is happening. Even this is not right. Even this should be replaced by saying invoke or navigate to browser. Right? In the future version of this framework, we'll move this. We will not keep it like this. यहाँ पे line ऐसा होगा, navigate to URL. And then here you will pass the base URL. We'll replace this by this, and it's very easy to do. All you have to do is create a method, public void navigate to URL base URL, right? And this will return you a driver. So I want you guys to take initiative like this. If I am not doing it, I'm expecting someone to do something like this, so that your own knowledge will be enhanced. Let me not corrupt this one. This is not the agenda of today's class. Let me do that later. But the idea is your test case should be very clean. You can tell yourself, right? This is looks very, and this is a simple test case. Imagine in actual test cases, those test cases are like 200, 300 lines of test cases. It becomes difficult to read those so many lines and understand what's happening, right? That's the reason we do this. That's not the only reason. Another reason is, if someone want to change the locators, because development team has changed it and you want to change it, it has a single location. ये सेंट्रलाइज लोकेशन है. आपको जब भी कोई प्रॉपर्टी चेंज करनी होगी, आप यहाँ चेंज करोगे, एंड दैट्स इट. आपको एग्जैक्टली पता है कहाँ चेंज करना है. अभी आपको सिंपल क्यों लग रहा होगा, मे बी फ्यू ऑफ यू माइट थिंक क्यों ही कर रहे हैं, एक जगह लिखो क्या प्रॉब्लम है. बिकॉज राइट नाउ यू हैव ओनली 2 टेस्ट केसेस, 3 टेस्ट केसेस. इमेजिन यू हैव 1000 टेस्ट केसेस, और हर टेस्ट केस में आपने हर जगह by.id और यहाँ वहां लिखा हुआ है, और आपको by.id आपको ऐप ईमेल की जगह कुछ और लिखना है, क्योंकि डेवलपर टीम ने चेंज कर दिया HTML में, राइट? So आपको कितनी जगह चेंज करना पड़ेगा, right? But if you do this kind of design, then you don't have to, because if something is changed, you would know किस पेज में चेंज हुआ है. Okay, home page में चेंज हुआ है. So you will directly come to page objects home page, and you just make the change at one place, and it will cascade to all the pages or all the test cases where it's being used. Okay guys, so this is all, and sometimes people make this mistake. I'll tell you the mistakes. People may say, okay, make this public and make this public, and they directly use it here. They directly say, instead of doing this, they will say driver dot find element, and they will say home page, because ये तो उन्होंने कर ही लिया है. So they will simply say like this, home page, and they will say home page dot input text email dot click. This is stupid, plain stupid. Okay, it's like you have AK-47 and you're using it like a sword. AK-47 हाथ में पर तलवार की तरह लड़ रहे हो उससे, right? So it doesn't make sense, isn't it? So it has to be very strict, and by strict I mean जो principle है, और rather हर class का principle है. अगर कोई instance variables को public कर रहा है तो either he is super stupid or he has a very good reason to do that, and it is actually against the object oriented programming. It's not proper abstraction, not proper encapsulation. It's completely you're destroying the fabric of object oriented design, right? You should not do it. All the methods which you have are always has to be a private methods. Okay, so idea of page object model is very simple. सबसे पहला, you have to create a web driver, declare the web driver. You don't do this. Okay, you don't initialization कहीं और हो रहा है. इनिशियलाइजेशन तो कहीं और हो रहा है, टेस्ट बेस में कर रहे हैं हम, राइट? हम इनिशियलाइजेशन एक बार कर रहे हैं, फिर हम उसको पास कर रहे हैं सब जगह, राइट? हम तो इनिशियलाइजेशन कहीं और किया, सेटअप में किया है, राइट? फिर हम सेम वेरिएबल को हर जगह पास कर रहे हैं, तो पासेज इज व्हाट वी नीड. सो व्हाट वी डूइंग इज इन द होम पेज ऑब्जेक्ट्स कंस्ट्रक्टर, और मे बी not maybe, so here we are basically passing the driver, and we are assigning this driver which is passed to this constructor, assigning it to the instance variable, right? And this is the segment 2. This is where we are doing what? We are declaring, or rather initializing our page object variables, and the fourth is your methods. So this acts as your agents basically, right? Agents means I use the word agent, right? So agent simply means आपको कुछ भी किसी भी लोकेटर के साथ करना है तो आप डायरेक्टली उसको टच नहीं करोगे. पेज ऑब्जेक्ट मॉडल इसमें इस चीज में रिजिड है, इन द सेंस अगर आपको किसी भी एलिमेंट के साथ कोई भी ऑपरेशन परफॉर्म करना है, क्या ऑपरेशन परफॉर्म कर सकते हो? एलिमेंट के साथ आप क्लिक करोगे, राइट क्लिक करोगे, टेक्स्ट टाइप करोगे, सेलेक्ट करोगे, जो भी करना है आपको वो डायरेक्टली एक्सेस नहीं करोगे. दिस इज द प्रिंसिपल ऑफ पेज ऑब्जेक्ट मॉडल. You will not touch it directly, you will not access it directly, because you can't, because that's the reason you have made it as private. It should not be exposed outside. You should not be make it public, because as I said, it's stupid to do. Always if you have to do something with any of the element, you need to create corresponding business methods, and these methods will be exposed outside. ये methods को access करोगे बाहर, and that's the reason I made them as public. एक से ज्यादा ऑपरेशन करना है, फॉर एग्जांपल इस वाले में, ईमेल वाले में मुझे वैलिडेट करना था. व्हाट इफ अगले टेस्ट केस में मुझे उसमें टेक्स्ट भी डाल के लॉगिन भी करना है, लेट्स दैट इज माय टेस्ट केस. व्हाट आई विल डू, आई विल क्रिएट अ मेथड फॉर इट. आई विल से पब्लिक void enter text in email text box, right? What text? I'll say string text, and I'll simply say driver dot find element input text email dot send dot send keys text, right? So I have written this, and then in my test case, let's say I want to this is just a checking. Let's say there's a third test case which says, okay, you have to do one more thing. You have to, test case number 3, you need to sign in. You need to sign in in the app using sign in securely link in home page. Now this is a more complex test case. So here again same thing would happen. driver.get base URL, homepage objects. Then I've created this, then homepage object, then I'll click this, validate, this is coming, and then homepage objects dot enter text. In the text, I will say whatever email I have, let's say akashtktyagi@gmail.com is what I would like to use, for example. But this is an incomplete test because I need to add more steps. I'm not going to do that today. I would like you guys to try it out. The idea is, as I said, simple. You go here, you got something here. Here you see, I have to enter here, and then I have to click here, and then when it logged in, then you have to check whether the login is successful or not. This is a complete test case in itself. Now you can argue one thing here, right? This page is not home page, right? This is a different page. This is a sign-in page, isn't it? This deserves a separate page object model. What I did here is wrong. I should not be doing that here, right? So I'll just quickly tell you the difference again. So I'll say, okay, now this is a separate page. It deserves a separate page object model. I'll just quickly, to save time, I'll just copy paste few things. I'll say sign in page objects. And here I will simply do what? I will just clean up things that this is required. I don't need this one here. Let me clean it up. Then this is I need. This is not about clicking anything, so I'll not use this. Validate is important, and then enter text. And in the home page, because this sign in, this is not part of home page, right? So I'll remove this, and I will remove these two methods also from here. Okay, guys. So see, now things are looking better. Homepage objects, that first link which you saw here, this is in the home page. So in home page object model file, I have this link, and I have parameterized constructor. I have this method. Whatever is coming here, it will go into this page. No matter who is creating test case, if he's finding it in home page, he will put it in home page. Then if someone clicks on here, there's a separate page, sign in page. Then in sign in page, I'm having this separate sign in page object model file, and I have these two methods here. How I will use it here? I will use it here by creating two objects. I'll say sign in page objects. Sign in page objects is equal to new sign in page objects driver, and then initialization of page objects. And then here, test steps. One is, first you need to click on it. Second, you need to write what? Sign in page objects dot validate, because here I'm just validating. In the next test case, same thing will happen. And then sign in page objects, I'll say steps, sign in page objects dot validate, and then sign in page objects dot enter text, and then corresponding methods, right? Some more methods. Then I need to write some more steps, right? To click on continue, that to enter password, and whatever it would be, it will all the methods, all the objects will go here. Okay, guys. I don't know how much of today's session you understood. I really am hopeful I did justice to the concept, but you cannot, quite fully understand if you don't try it. And if we just give you a glimpse about this common page objects, so all the object which you see here, exactly the same pattern I have used, and this is actually represents all the elements which are coming here. This one, this, all I have listed here. Text box, button, hamburger menu link, logo, cart, prime, orders, account, right? All of this, order, prime, accounts, all of these links I have written here, and I'm using this methods here. So you see everything is private, and these are public methods. So I have created an existing file, and I have already also showed you how to do it if you want to do it from scratch. Okay, guys. guys, now it's time to ask questions if you really didn't understand. Because I don't want to hear this that okay, I didn't understand page object model. I try to rather explain it again, but you have to really ask it. Let me check this in page object model. Okay, I have some questions. I see. I'm not clear with the concept of plugin. Okay, this is okay. I'll talk about this parameterize constructor. You didn't understand parameterize constructor, Nish? This is what you're saying? Yadnesh, you're saying you did not understand parameterize constructor? Okay, so if I assume you this is what you mean. So parameterize constructor is fairly okay. You have given answer. Okay. I'm so sorry. Okay, you given answer. Okay. Right. So right. So this is basically my today's agenda. I'll give a walkthrough on two things. One is the question which Apurva asked, and second is another thing which is I wanted to cover today, but it's already 9:12, and we have like 5-10 minutes more to go, and I don't again want to introduce a new concept along with page object model. So let me first quickly check in this one. Test cases and page object model. So guys, see, I'm doing checking. I think you guys understand about the branching. Basically, at least if you don't, I don't want you to create these, but at least you should know how to navigate between these branches. And if you're really find it very difficult to do, then you go to our online version of the GitHub repository, and you go to the link JUnit Selenium framework, and then you select this. You'll say, okay, I just checked in things here, and you will see things. I just put it here, right? So you would know exactly what this branch is all about. This branch is about the page object model. Okay, and what I do is whatever is the next branch, पुराने branch के changes भी नए branch में होते हैं, right? So right now you won't see it because मैंने भी change किया, merge नहीं किया हुआ है, so you won't see it. But ideally I will मैं इसको कर दूंगा. So what you will see is the latest branch is the latest code. So बिल्कुल latest code जो भी मैंने पुराना किया हुआ है सब latest branch में होगा. Right now we latest branch here is 7 log4j. पुराना सारा logic मैं इसमें move कर दूंगा basically. Okay, now thing which I want to talk about is actually the 7th branch only, which is log4j. So this branch is about implementation of a logging mechanism. Okay, what do I mean by logging? The thing is, when you run this, कहीं पे log generate नहीं होता है. मतलब you see something running and you see something happening in the console. Console में आपको कुछ run होते दिखता है यहाँ पे इस तरह से, right? But actually में कुछ लिखा हुआ नहीं आता, right? What you see here right now is a log4j statements, right? आपके कोड में अभी तक आपने जो भी ट्राई किया है उसमें you will not see this. This I added in the log4j branch, and the purpose of this is when your test framework executes, that test framework should give an output outside or write something or say something after the execution कि उसने execution में क्या क्या steps किए, right? This comes under logging and reporting basically. So framework has many parts. अभी हम जो कर रहे हैं, अभी हम इसमें पेज ऑब्जेक्ट मॉडल कर रहे हैं. दूसरा कंपोनेंट, दूसरा पार्ट हमारे फ्रेमवर्क का क्या है? टेस्ट केस राइटिंग है. पेज ऑब्जेक्ट मॉडल हमने कर लिया है. फिर हमने ड्राइवर इन्वोकेशन वगैरह कैसे करना है, कॉन्फ़िगरेशन कैसे पास करनी है मेवन से, ब्राउजर इन्फॉर्मेशन कैसे भेजनी है, वो भी हमने देख लिया है. नाउ a very important aspect of a automation framework is logging and reporting, right? This part, this step 7 is about logging. रिपोर्टिंग हमने बात नहीं की, अभी अब हम लॉगिंग की बात कर रहे हैं. इसके बाद हम रिपोर्टिंग की बात करेंगे। लॉगिंग में क्या चीज है? लॉगिंग मीन्स इफ योर फ्रेमवर्क इज डूइंग समथिंग, it should also write it down that I am doing that this thing. For example, प्रीवियस ब्रांच को रन करोगे, कुछ भी लिखा नहीं आएगा आपको, होते हुए तो देखेगा कुछ हो रहा है, पर यहाँ पे अब चेक बॉक्स चेक्स भी आ जाएंगे, पर उसने एग्जैक्टली किस समय पे क्या काम किया वो आपको नहीं पता चल रहा है till branch 6. But in branch 7, that is log4j implementation के बाद, you will see something which is being written here. So it's saying Chrome browser invoked, driver maximized, test case number working, started, browser navigated, page started very successful, expected ये है, actual ये है, test case खत्म हो गया, फिर test case number 2, exactly वही किया, फिर कुछ और भी चीजें की हैं उसने, right? Why and how this information is coming? Because I have done few things that I'll just quickly show you, and then I'll explain more in more detail in the next session. So I have added two dependencies here called as log4j. It's a library basically. So I have added log4j here, and then next thing I did is I created a configuration file. So log4j requires a configuration file, and inside its configuration file there are few segments. One is appenders, then we have loggers. In the appenders I have said कि मुझे जो भी log है इसको मुझे कंसोल में प्रिंट कराना है, राइट? और कंसोल में प्रिंट कराने के साथ साथ मुझे इसको एक एक्सटर्नल फाइल में भी राइट करना है, एंड आई एम सेइंग इट्स अ रोलिंग फाइल. ओके, व्हाट इज रोलिंग फाइल वो मैं हम बाद में डिस्कस करेंगे, बट अभी जब मैं इसको रन करूंगा तो वो कंसोल में भी दिखेगा, और इट विल आल्सो क्रिएट अ फाइल, एक्सटर्नल फाइल, उसका नाम होगा app-info.log. जो भी टेस्ट केस में हो रहा है वो सब एक्सटर्नल फाइल में सेव होता जाएगा, राइट? एंड देन वी हैव अनदर एरिया कॉल्ड एज लॉगर. सो दिस इज द कॉन्फ़िगरेशन. मैं बता रहा हूँ कहाँ लिखना है, कंसोल और रोलिंग में लिखना है, और लॉगर से मैं बता रहा हूँ कि एग्जैक्टली आपको यू हैव टू डू दैट. देयर आर डिफरेंट थिंग्स, लेवल, डिबग, अभी आई एम नॉट गोइंग टू दैट डिटेल्स. इट्स सिंपली द कॉन्फ़िगरेशन फाइल वेयर आई एम सेइंग सिंपली टू थिंग्स. आई एम सेइंग कंसोल में लिखो और लॉग में लिखो, एक फाइल में लिखो, and here I am saying I am putting it these names here and this name here. So this is my log4j configuration file. यहाँ से मैं log4j को इंस्ट्रक्ट कर रहा हूँ कि जो भी इंफॉर्मेशन फ्रेमवर्क एग्जीक्यूशन टाइम पे हो रही है, जो भी इंफॉर्मेशन आ रही है, उसको आपको एक्सटर्नल फाइल में भी लिखना है, कंसोल में भी प्रिंट कराना है. फेयर इनफ. नेक्स्ट थिंग आई वांट टू डू इज, जहां जहां मुझे इंफॉर्मेशन बेसिकली लॉग करवानी है, उस क्लास में आई नीड टू क्रिएट अ variable here called as logger. I need to say private static final class name is logger. This is class name is logger. Variable name is logger. Then I have to say log manager dot get logger, name of the class and dot class. I know कुछ समझ में नहीं आ रहा होगा, और हर चीज समझ में आनी जरूरी भी नहीं है. Okay, sometimes you need to just understand how to do it. कैसे हो रहा है, क्या हो रहा है, and the working क्या है, don't bother about it right now. You will understand it later. Just first understand how to implement logging for the framework. I'm talking about how to implement it. Okay, so how to implement is like this. First आप POM file में जाओगे, वहां पे दो dependencies डालोगे. Second, you will go to log4j2.xml and you will add these lines here. I've just tried to explain this in a layman terms exactly what's happening. This means मुझे एक्सटर्नल फाइल में चाहिए, this means मुझे कंसोल में भी चाहिए. So मैंने दो चीज लिखी है, कंसोल में और कंसोल में और फाइल में. तो मैंने यहाँ बताया हुआ है कि you need to actually write it. Logger means you have to log it. This is just an information. मुझे करना है और ये करके देता है basically, right? This is your configuration file. Okay. Then third is मुझे जहां जहां भी information log करनी है, मैं वहां जाके सबसे ऊपर पहली लाइन उस क्लास में ये डालूंगा, प्राइवेट स्टैटिक फाइनल लॉगर लॉग मैनेजर डॉट गेट लॉगर, और उस लॉग का नाम, उस क्लास फाइल का नाम, फिर डॉट क्लास. देन आई कैन यूज द वेरिएबल लॉगर डॉट वेरिएबल, एंड उसमें मैं जो इंफॉर्मेशन जहां डालना चाहता हूँ डाल सकता हूँ. जैसे मैंने यहाँ क्या किया है, इन्फो में लिखा है टेस्ट केस स्टार्टेड, फिर लिखा है लॉगर डॉट इन्फो, पेज टाइटल वाइडली सक्सेसफुल, टेस्ट केस एंडेड. ओके, इफ आई गो इनसाइड नेविगेट टू यूआरएल, ये दूसरी क्लास है, यहां भी मैंने सेम काम किया है. You see, WebDriver factory, WebDriver.class, and I've exactly done the same thing. और हर जगह logger information डाला, logger.info, logger.info. जहां जहां मुझे information log करवानी है, मैं वहां logger.info डालूंगा बेसिकली। अगर मुझे कहीं एरर डेमोन्स्ट्रेट करवानी है तो मैं लिखूंगा logger डॉट फेटल, ये logger डॉट एरर, द डिफरेंट मेथड्स अवेलेबल इनसाइड दिस ऑब्जेक्ट। ओके, ये ऑब्जेक्ट क्लास मुझे कहाँ से मिली है, जो मैंने डिपेंडेंसी डाली थी, रिमेंबर, यहाँ से मुझे वो बेसिकली क्लासेस मिली हुई है। एंड इट इज एवरीवेयर, इट इज हियर, इट इज एवरी, जहां जहां मुझे लॉगिंग करवानी है हर जगह है। देखो, क्लिक करोगे तो लॉगर इन्फॉर्मेशन, इवन जो हमने अभी क्लासेस और मेथड्स बनाए थे ना, वहां पे भी बेसिकली वी नीड टू ऐड दिस। This is the very important part of any software. No matter what software you're using, they will be having a logger implemented there, because आप अगर आपके पास loggers नहीं है, if आप logger implement नहीं किया, it's very hard to debug a problem, because सोचो आपने रन किया और एप्लीकेशन ने बिहेव नहीं किया the way it should behave, what will happen? You will not know anything because nothing is logged. You don't know exactly what happened. But if you use logging, you not only you will see it in the console, you will also see it in you'll also see it in a file here. You see this app-info, जो भी आपने एग्जीक्यूशन किया वो सब यहाँ पे सेव हो रहा है। देखो, एवरीथिंग इज सेव्ड हियर। सो मुझे एग्जैक्टली पता है कि मैंने कल क्या रन किया था, परसों क्या, एवरीथिंग, कल रन किया था तो क्या हुआ था, परसों रन किया तो क्या हुआ था, all the information about all of this is present here. And मैंने बताया यहाँ पे it's a rolling means नई फाइल्स बनती हैं every day, right? It's a rolling. So every day there is a new file being created. So वो पुरानी फाइल अपेंड होके पुरानी डेट से अपेंड हो जाती है। So ये मैंने शायद I think 25th 8th को रन किया था, right? And क्या रन किया था उस समय, exactly क्या statements execute हुए थे, everything is coming here, right? So a good framework should always have logging and reporting. Reporting is something else that we'll talk about later. Reporting is कि आपको client को report दिखानी है क्या हुआ है, that is reporting. Logging is low level record, low level logs, right? Debug level logs, that is called as logging. I'm not asking you to implement it right now, right away. We will have next session on Thursday. I'll talk more about this on Thursday. But on Thursday also I will be very shallow on Thursday also. मैं बहुत detail में, I don't want you to confuse about ये क्या होता है policies. Don't worry about these things. Just understand how to implement it. Right? I have just told you how to implement it. उसको implement करो. It's very simple to do. आप अभी भी करना चाहो, whoever after you do page object model, or while you do page object model, you can also start implementing this. Okay, that is the reason I'm telling you. If the few of you who are catching things quickly, I propose you guys do page object model as well as log4j implementation. If you're not able to do it anyway, I'll talk more about this on next classes. And we have to do this. There is no escape from it. All right. Then last thing is about Apurva's questions. Apurva was asking about what are these plugins basically, right? So Maven has this concept of plugins. Basically, the thing is you have Chrome. When you install Chrome, it is simple functionality it provides that you can browse something. What if you want to do something extra with it, right? So let's say, for example, do I have a Chrome open somewhere? Yeah. So this is the Chrome, right? I have these extensions here, you see, AdBlock Plus, then Asana, then Cisco WebEx extension, right? Now, because Chrome doesn't know your need, right? Chrome says, okay, I know exactly what you need. You need to serve the website, but what else that I don't know, that you have to decide. And once you decide what exactly you want to do with it, you want to have more functionality, you decide and add or enhance the software's functionality by adding more extensions or plugins, right? So these are just a way of plugins, basically just the way to enhance the existing software functionality. The same concept is available here. So जब Maven आपने install किया तो उसने, या Maven की POM file है, तो आपने कहा okay, I want to do this much, and your Maven is working fine, but you want to enhance the functionality of the Maven. So for example, अगर मैं केवल dependency डालता और build plugins नहीं add करता तो क्या होता, ये जब मैं इसको Maven build करता तो ये test case शायद execute नहीं हो पाते, test case will not get executed, right? मैंने यहाँ पे Surefire डाला है That means now when I say maven clean install, test cases भी execute हो जाएंगे. So this is how making use of plugins I have enhanced the functionality of my maven. Okay, this is not a complete definition of what it is, because I said last time when we had a maven session, I said I'm going to talk more about plugins, goals and phases. If you really want to understand this, then you need to understand what are plugins, what are plugin goals, what are phases. That we'll talk about maybe soon enough. I think it's time that I should have a dedicated session on how maven really works. But the idea is very simple. आइडिया इज आपको कोई भी एक्सटर्नल फंक्शनैलिटी चाहिए मेवन में, तो आप उसको प्लगइन के फॉर्म में ऐड करोगे. जस्ट ऐड अ प्लगइन एंड वो फंक्शनैलिटी आपके मेवन आपके प्रोजेक्ट में आ जाएगी. This is simplest explanation I gave basically. For detailed explanation, maybe we'll have another session. Okay, Apurva, did I console you on this answer?
Yes, sir.
So I would like you to bear with me for until next session, but I think it's simple enough definition of what is a plugin and why do we use it. So I have so far in this JUnit framework, there is only one plugin we are using. That's only one plugin. If I show you the I have actual project which I was working, and let me show you that how a real project looks like. See, so let's say I show you this form. See how it looks like, dependencies, and you see plugins, lot of plugins here. This plugin is responsible for writing text files. This plugin is responsible for fetching the git commit id. Then this plugin is responsible for it's for actually dockerizing. I'm not sure if you know about docker and all, but it has a specific task to do. So a lot of plugins here. Okay guys, so this is how a real project looks like. This is actually a development project, so this is not a testing project, but testing project also looks something similar to this. Okay, anyway, I think we have touched the maximum time allotted to the session. There's nothing else, then we can call it a wrap, guys. Any questions?